Last month, my agency booked over 146 high-ticket appointments, and in this video, I'm going to give you my 5-step framework that allowed me to do that in such a short period of time and make over $100,000 in just a month, okay? So the first thing that we need to do is we need to build an optimal scripting syntax, okay? So what we need to do here is the very first thing that we need to send is asking a question to filter people without a problem that you can solve, okay? So ultimately, what your business does is it solves a problem for someone, okay? And what we need to figure out when we're first reaching out to someone is not if they're interested in your solution, but if they have a specific problem that you can help with, because that's going to be a larger amount of people that you can actually help, of people that have a problem, but not necessarily people that are aware of your solution, okay? So this could be, for example, hey, I was wondering if you wanted help getting posting more content. I was wondering if you were looking for help with getting more roofing jobs. I was wondering if you wanted to get help looking for more accounting clients, right? Whatever the case may be, whatever you can actually help the person with, whatever problem that you can solve, you're going to ask the person to invoke responses from people with a specific problem that you can actually help, okay? Once you have done that, and once you have got the interest of the people that you can actually help, you're going to briefly explain the value, okay, of what you actually do and what your offer is, and then you're going to ask to schedule the call, okay? So this is very important that you are explaining the value of your offer and not the actual service that you're doing, okay? So I'm going to give you a little bit more context of what to actually say when they're interested and when you're pitching them, okay? So these are the 3 things that you have to, or the 4 things actually, I need to update this, that you need to keep in mind when you're pitching a prospect, when they say they're interested. This is the 4 things that you have to keep in mind. If you can say these things, people are going to be interested and people are going to book a call with you from that pitch, okay? So number 1 is you have to focus on the thing that your prospect is actually getting, okay? And when I say the thing that they're getting, I'm not talking about the service that you're going to get them. I'm talking about the actual results that you're going to get them, okay? Because if you go in there and you talk about how you're going to give them your SEO service or your Facebook ad service or whatever kind of service or coaching that you do, if you go into the DMs and you start talking about that, that's not what they care about. What they care about is the outcome that they get from doing those things, okay? So what is the outcome of doing ads? Well, it's more clients, it's more customers, it's more jobs, right? What is the outcome of doing SEO? It's basically the same thing, right? What is the outcome of fitness coaching, right? It's to get in shape, right? Whatever the case may be, you want to focus on the actual outcome that they are going to get once they go through your service and once your service works, okay? You don't want to explain what your service is, because what that is going to do, it is going to instantly make the prospect start thinking about the actual thing that you are doing that they probably already tried before, or at the very least, they've heard about it before. So if you sell marketing services, or if you sell SEO services or ad services, and you talk about how you're going to help them with your Facebook ads, right? Or that's how you deliver your service, the likelihood that they've already worked with someone who's basically helped them with that service before and had a bad experience is very, very, very high. And those words are used and thrown around so frequently that you're not going to sound different from anyone else, and they're not going to pay any attention to you. So this is the number 1 thing, is you have to focus on the thing that the prospect is getting after working with you and not what you're going to do to make it happen, okay? So the third rule is you have to have proof over promise and a promise over nothing at all, okay? So if you have a lot of case studies, which a lot of you probably do, and if you have a lot of testimonials for your service, you want to talk about those. You want to talk about the exact result that one person got working with you and how long it took them to get that specific result. And if you can talk about 3 or 4 people who are just like them, who were able to get the result that they ultimately want, going from the position they are currently in, that is going to be that's going to give them the most amount of conviction overall, okay? Also, if you don't have any proof, that's completely fine. Everyone starts somewhere. You need to go based on your word, okay? You need to have an offer and you need to have a promise that's so compelling that they would want to work with you, even despite the lack of your proof, okay? And a lot of the times what this means working on commission, right? If you say that you are going to work with them and they only have to pay you after you make the money, it's a pretty good promise, right? And even though you don't have proof, there's a lot of people who are going to be willing to take a chance on you, okay? So proof over promise and the promise over nothing at all. If you just go in there and you just say something like tell them your service that they don't care about, they're not going to want to book, okay? And this is the one thing that people screw up a lot of the time for some reason. It's just the smallest little thing, is making sure that you have a call to action at the end of your pitch and tell them to actually book a call. Because if you don't give them clear instructions on what to do next, they're not going to do anything at all, okay? Even if they are interested in your service, okay? And this strategy, these scripting syntaxes, are the exact same things that Donovan, one of our clients, he was using to book over 8 meetings in his first 4 days of actually working with me. And we helped him implement this entire system. We helped him implement the entire LinkedIn outreach system. It's running automatically with setters and everything like that. So he was able to get a ton of success with it. Right now, we're booking about 5 to 6 meetings every single day using this, okay? Now, the next thing is once you have these scripts in place, we need to actually find the people to send the scripts to, okay? And this is where we're going to generate leads on autopilot. And the way that we do this is with Sales Navigator. So I'm not going to give you a whole Sales Navigator rundown right now, but I'm going to briefly show you how this works, okay? So if you go into LinkedIn, in the top right, there's a button that says Sales Navigator. If you click that, you'll be taken to this page. You have to pay like $100 a month to access this. You can use the free search filter. It's fairly similar, but this is going to be helpful either way. Okay. So what this does, okay, is you're going to be able to target by the exact company headcount of the person that you want. Okay. And this is a very good indicator of revenue for the companies that you're trying to target. So for example, if you're trying to target smaller businesses who are doing a lower amount of revenue, it's going to typically, they're going to have lower amount of employees. If you want to target these large enterprises, if you do 500 employees plus, you're going to get the same result as basically targeting by revenue. Except with the profile filters, you can't really target by revenue. You have to go into the account filters, which is a whole separate thing, and it's a pain in the ass. Okay. Basically, if you want to target a certain size of business, you're going to do that with the employee count. You can obviously add job titles. So if you want to target just business owners, which the majority of you probably are going to want to do that, then you just add that in there, right? And then obviously you can change the location. But the main thing here is how to actually find the job, okay? So what a lot of people will do is they will go to the job title section, or they will go to the role section, like the company role section, and they'll put in like what they do, right? But they'll go to the industry section and they'll put in like the industry that they're in. But a lot of the times, and this is really stupid on LinkedIn's part, what they actually do is if you put in an industry, a lot of the times you'll get people who just work with the person in that industry. So for example, if you put in accountants into the industry section on this lead filter, you will find marketing agencies that work with accountants because they put accounting in their profile section, right? A lot of the times also you'll find people who work in that department. So if you put if you're looking for accountants, what you might find, or like accounting companies, what you might find is just like random accountants from like a gym's accountant, right? You find an accountant from like some random company, which is obviously not what you want to do. So you actually have to put like your niche, and there are different keywords for your niche inside of the search filter. So if you're looking for accountants, you could put CPA in here, and then obviously make sure it's a business owner criteria, and you find a bunch of business owners that work with accounting, okay? And then if you want to export these Sales Navigator searches, here's a couple softwares that you can use to do this, and just get a whole nice list like this that you can just go through and then reach out to, right? So one of those, the three that I have heard good things about are Scrupp, SCRUPP.com, Phantom Buster, and EvaBoot. So if you want to export these, you can do that. Okay. And again, like I literally use this to close over $100,000 in revenue and collect over 60K on just one Stripe account. And then obviously there's like bank transfers and things like that. But it's basically like 60 to 70K cash collected, and then the rest is accounts receivable, right? So a lot of money using these systems. And the reason why is because of scale. Okay. So right, like up until this point, this is probably stuff that you can probably okay, I've thought of this before to some extent, right? Maybe not, but probably you have, right? This is where it gets interesting, and this is where you can make a lot of money with LinkedIn, okay? So this is where it comes to setting up multiple accounts and getting setters, okay? I'm going to specifically talk about the actual setters, how to get other people to do this for you. But let's talk about setting up accounts first, because you need to have multiple accounts. You're never going to get these numbers with just one account unless you have some massive following, right? So what you're able to do from one account, which you probably know if you've tried doing LinkedIn outreach before, okay, is you can do about 200 to 250 in-mails every single week, which if someone has an open profile, you can basically just send them a message. It's called an in-mail, and you can just automatically send that, okay? You can also send 200 connection requests per week. You need some specific softwares to do this, which the ones I use are private software, so I can't just give them out. But you can contact me if you want to learn more about how this works and how to automate this whole process. But you can do about 200 connections per week per account, which is a total of 450 outreach every single week, okay? Now, you can do that on one account, right? But the issue is that's not very much. So what we have to do is we have to multiply this, right? So we have account 2, account 3, account 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? I have about 16 or so accounts at the moment. But for example, if you just have 9 accounts, you can do about 4,050 outreach every single week, which is about 600 outreach every single day. And again, we're doing 1,000 a day, right? Now, the problem with this is it's not as easy as just making all these accounts and then doing this, right? Because what will happen is if you just make an account and you start doing outreach on it, LinkedIn is going to look, okay, this person's doing all this outreach. Is this at least a verified human being, okay? And if you do not upload your ID to LinkedIn what will happen, like if you do not have this verification badge, what will happen is they will basically shut down your account because it's like, okay, this is not a real person or it's a duplicate account. Okay. So this becomes a little bit more difficult because you actually have to have a legitimate humans account in order to do this. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. I'm not going to go through all of them because, again, this is something that it takes a lot of time to properly explain and do properly, right? But what you can do, okay, the easiest way is to go to friends, go to family members, and if you have a team, that's the easiest way, is just to get people on your team's LinkedIn accounts, which everyone on our team, we have about 8 employees, and all of them just give us our LinkedIn accounts, and we just do outreach on those, right? Which makes it super easy. If you don't have that, friends and family is the best way to go, and then you can just have them upload their ID to your account, and you can just rent out their account and just pay like $50 a month or whatever, and it'll be well worth it. Okay, now there's some other ways with, like, you can search up, for example, like LinkedIn account rental services with like real accounts. You can just search that up, and you can typically find some different softwares. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones. Again, that could be a whole nother video in itself. Okay. Now, number 4 is optimizing your follow-up system. Okay. So this is what a lot of people don't do, and this is what allowed me to double the amount of throughput that was coming from my outreach. Right. This is doubling the amount of appointments that I was getting from the same amount of outreach. Okay. So what we have done here is every time now that someone becomes engaged or interested, so we send this initial voice note, right, with this question, every time that someone is interested in that, right, and we send them this pitch, right, which can be a video or a piece of text, right, once they're interested, we will follow up with them at least 8 times on every single place on the internet that we can find them. Okay. So we have different softwares that are actually able to scrape the LinkedIn profiles to find their phone numbers, to find their emails, to find their Twitter accounts, and to find their Instagram accounts. Okay. And what we do here, and I have my setter do this, right, is he follows up 8 times on the phone, 8 times over email, 8 times over text, and 8 times over Instagram. And what happens when you have that in place is more than half of the people who are interested initially, right, in this offer book. Okay. And the reason why that is because once they're interested, we are like in their life now. Like, we are not going away until they tell us to piss off or until they just book a call. Okay. And what this allows us to do is, again, we are maximizing the amount of leads, or we're maximizing the amount of clients and the amount of appointments we're getting for the amount of messages that we're sending. So this works especially well if you have a smaller market. I mean, it works with both. Obviously, my market's not small, but if you have a small market and if you really need to get the most amount of juice from the amount of people that you can work with, like, this is the best way to go, because we've been able to get over a 10% booking rate, meaning overall, if we send out 10 messages, we're going to get at least 1 appointment from there. Okay. Typically that's what our numbers are. I think it's around like 9, 8 to 10%. So, okay. And the reason why is, again, because we're able to follow up on all these different places. So someone's on LinkedIn, right, today, and they just check your message and they're interested, and then they never check LinkedIn again for the next 30 days, which happens a lot. We're able to contact them on all these other channels, which makes it very easy to get these people to book. Okay. The next step of this is actually building your data tracker, and it's actually tracking data. Okay. Now, this is probably not the most fun thing about all of this, but what you need to understand is, in order to make your system better, in order to optimize it, and in order to be able to actually scale, you need to understand what is going on in your very own business. Okay. So these are our metrics for December, right? This was for one of the accounts, right? We had about 21% positive reply rate, and then about 13.6 people actually asked for a calendar out of the messages we sent, and then about 6 people booked. Again, this is one account, so it's pretty low sample size, right? Now, what we need to know here is the actual math and the KPIs. So if you can get 10 appointments per account every single month, that is considered good enough. Okay. And once you have that in place, then it becomes as easy as just getting these more accounts. So if you're getting 10 appointments per month from one account, if you do the exact same thing on 9 more accounts, you'll get 100 appointments a month. And that's why last month we did 150 appointments, right? Because we have these 16 different accounts that are all booking like approximately 10 meetings per account. Okay. Some of them we got recently, so they weren't doing the whole time, but that's what that has allowed us to do. Okay. And what you basically want to track here is, you want to track the amount of people that you send a message to, the amount of people that are interested in that message, the amount of people who request for a calendar that are interested, and the amount of people who actually book. Okay. And once you have this in place, you're actually able to make adjustments to the script to see if things improve and all that different good stuff. Okay. And you want to have a different campaign for email and a different campaign for connector. So this is what the math typically should look like. These are like the worst case scenario numbers that you should be aiming for. Okay. So you want a minimum connection acceptance rate of 35%. Okay. So for all the people that you send a connection request to, 35 people should accept. Out of those people that accept, you're going to message all of them, and about 10% of people should be interested. Then once you send your pitch to those 10% of people, about 3% of people in total, again, from all the messages that you sent, should actually book. And then your show up rate should be 65%. Your sales conversion rate should be about 20%. Okay. And what this means is when you have all of these numbers, right, this should really be 70% to be honest, but 65 is fine, right? If you get 200 connection requests a week and 70 connected DMs sent per week, 7 positive replies per week, you get 2 meetings booked per week. Plus you're also going to get about 2 from InMail just because of the volume you can do on there. And then you are going to get in total about 2 clients per month per account. And then in total across 10 accounts, you can get 20 clients per month per account, or sorry, for 10 accounts. And that is why we've been able to sign quite a bit over 20 clients in the last 30 days, right? Is because we have these numbers in tow and we know exactly what we need to reach in order for that to become predictable. Okay. And the last thing, the most important thing, is actually hiring setters so you don't have to do this. Okay. And it's not just about you not having to do it, but it's also about making sure that you're able to get the most out of your list. Okay. So when you are running this yourself, because you're going to have to run it yourself to start so that you learn the metrics and then you learn how to do it, because you're not going to teach someone about the system that you don't understand, right? Is once you have this in place, right, it's very important, a few different things. Okay. The number one thing is you have to have a very, very detailed way and detailed SOPs on how to actually run the systems that I'm showing you, right? And this is like an example, right? So you want like if statements. So if a prospect says one of these 6 things, this is what you need to do from there. Okay. And gives you the exact things, how to respond, the exact objection handles to use, like every single part of that, you need to be able to give to your setter so they can just do it without like having to know how to set appointments, right? Like my setter, he didn't really have too much appointment setting experience before. He's never been an appointment setter before. And he just worked with me. And month 1, I think he booked like 70 appointments in his first month or something ridiculous like that, right? The reason why we do that is because the systems we have are so good, okay? And on top of that, what he was actually able to do, right, which I wasn't able to, is because this is his full-time job, he was able to do this the entire day, okay? And what that means is he's not only able to do more, he's not only able to send more messages, he's not only able to book more appointments, but he's also able to reply more readily, okay? So this is basically a chart. This is just an example chart, right, of when replies would come in. Okay, so for example, there's different replies that are coming at different hours. Okay, and the faster you respond to a prospect, the more likely you are to be able to actually book them in a call. Right. So for me, when I was running this, I was only able to do this about 1 to 2 hours a day because I had a whole company to manage. Right. He's obviously able to do it like 14, 16 hours a day, right? He's able to respond to people. Okay. Now, when I was doing this, the only times where I could respond quickly to people was in this small window, okay? And as you can see, in this small window, I was only able to respond to about 4 to 5 people with like very, very quickly, right? Given these like arbitrary red dots, right? But my setter, right? If he's able to work from 7 p.m. all the way till 7 a.m. all the way to 10 a.m. or not necessarily do everything, right? But just be available to respond to people. Not only is he able to send more outreach, not only is he able to book more appointments, but he's also able to respond faster to all of these red dots, which is significantly more than that window that I had before. And what that means is he's not only going to get more appointments because he's doing more volume, but he's also able to get a higher percentage of people to book because he's able to respond quicker and be more efficient. Okay. And when you have that in place, you can just sit on your ass, and obviously not, right? You're taking the calls and doing all this other stuff, right? But you can basically like not worry about the outreach. You can just look at your calendar in the morning and see all the calls you have, and look at your end of day reports and see that one setter booked you 5 appointments and the other one booked you 4, and then you're just chilling, right? And it's like that happens on a daily basis. Like these people will sometimes book just like 9 appointments randomly, and that happens often because I've actually built a good system. Okay. Now the way that you find these people and you hire them, the best way to do it is if you have a personal brand. Most you don't, which is fine. I'll give you alternative ways. If you do though, I got a ton of applications by making this post on my YouTube community, and just putting a job post with the criteria. You can copy this if you want. You can pause the video, right? And then just having a Loom video that's explaining a little bit about the process. You can also just go to my community page on YouTube and copy this, right? But the next best place is to go to school groups and Facebook groups. And then what you can do from there, you want to go to these like appointment setting, like make money online groups, right? Or like escape the rat race groups. And then what you want to do is you want to post in these groups your job posts, which you can just do the same thing as this, right? Or you can also individually DM the people inside of that group and see if they'd be open to a job like this, making whatever your OTEs are. Typically, my setters make around 2 to 4K per month, but you're going to determine that yourself, right? And just to give you some context, like this has worked for so many people. Like I was showing you Donovan before, he's literally booking appointments in his first 24 hours. Vanessa actually just started her coaching business with her business partner, and in their first month of business, and obviously working with me as well, they signed 3 $6,000 deals and made 18K in their first month, which is pretty cool. And we're booking appointments again also in their first day. Frank, he was able to sign his first and his second client actually through LinkedIn outreach. And again, there's a ton of other results of people who have done this. So if you want to be one of those people, and if you actually want to work with me, and if you don't want to try and like take all this, obviously this is helpful, right? But a 20-minute video is going to save your life. If you actually want me to help you implement this and build this out for your entire company and just have an appointment booking system that's running for you automatically so that you can just wake up and have the same calendar as me, you click the first link in the description. If not, that's totally cool. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.